Hey everyone, have you ever stopped to think about what happens after we die? Like, is death really the end? Or is it just the beginning of a new journey? A lot of people shy away from this topic because, let's be honest, thinking about death can be a bit scary, right? But what if I told you that, according to Spiritism, the view on death is totally different? It's a perspective that brings hope, understanding, and even comfort. In this video, we're going to chat about what happens after we pass on, according to Spiritist teachings. We'll talk about the process of leaving the physical body, what awaits us on the other side, and how we can prepare for this transition, which, let's face it, we're all going to go through someday, right? And the coolest part, you'll see that death isn't the end of the road. In fact, it's a new chance to evolve and grow spiritually. So, if this topic has sparked your curiosity, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who has similar questions, because this conversation matters. Oh, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever thought about what your life would be like after death? Let's talk about it, because there's so much for us to reflect on and learn together. Let's start by talking about something we'll all inevitably face one day: the moment of passing. Just hearing the word death can make people uncomfortable, right? Many feel afraid or try to avoid thinking about it altogether. But here's the thing, this transition isn't the end. According to Spiritism, death is simply a change of state, a passage. In fact, it marks the beginning of a new journey. Have you ever thought about what happens when our spirit disconnects from the body? For many, the idea of leaving the material world behind can feel daunting. But Spiritism offers a perspective that completely shifts this view. Kardec teaches us that, at the moment of passing, the spirit goes through a kind of awakening in the spiritual realm. It's not the end of who we are, quite the opposite. The soul, which was once attached to the physical body, returns to its original state as a pure spirit. This means there's no loss of identity. We continue to be ourselves, carrying with us all our memories, experiences, and emotions. Now, think about it for a second. Have you ever imagined what this detachment process might be like? It's not something sudden, as many might believe. In fact, it's a gradual transition, kind of like changing clothes. And this change doesn't happen all at once. The spirit slowly detaches until it's finally free to continue its journey. Sounds comforting, doesn't it? This understanding brings a new sense of peace when we reflect on what's waiting for us after this life. What about you? Have you ever wondered what that moment of transition will be like? It's natural to feel some uncertainty or hesitation when thinking about death. But by seeing it as a natural continuation of life, we can better prepare ourselves for it. The truth is, in one way or another, we're all walking toward this transformation. And spirituality offers us tools to help make this passage more serene and mindful. Let's reflect on this together. How do you imagine this transition? Do you think we can start preparing for it right here, right now? A lot of people wonder, what happens to our connection with the physical world after we pass on? Well, the answer isn't so simple. Even after passing, we remain connected to the physical plane for a while. This happens because our perispirit, the link between the physical body and the spirit, still holds onto subtle ties that gradually dissolve. So, it's common for the spirit to feel like they're still here shortly after death. Have you ever heard about that feeling of still being present? It's a real experience for many spirits who don't immediately realize they've left their physical body. For them, everything seems the same. They still see themselves with the same face, body, and voice. Nothing seems to have changed. This teaches us an important lesson. Physical death doesn't change our essence, only the state we're in. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think your loved ones who've passed on are waiting for you on the other side? Spiritism offers a beautiful message about this. The spirits of those who love us, whether they're family members or friends, are always nearby, ready to guide us through the transition. Isn't that comforting? Knowing that when we pass on, we won't be alone but welcomed by those who care for us brings a sense of inner peace. Here's an important reflection. How are we preparing for that moment? While we're still alive, we have the chance to let go of material attachments and focus on what truly matters. This process of detachment can make all the difference when the time comes, making the transition smoother and more natural. Have you thought about that? How are you dealing with material and emotional attachments in your life today? Now, let's talk about what happens after we cross to the other side. Is life in the spiritual realm really that different from our life here? According to Spiritism, the answer is not so much. Spiritual life is a continuation of material life, but with some very important differences. In the spiritual plane, the spirit no longer needs the physical body to express itself. This means it lives in a state of greater freedom and understanding. Can you imagine what it would be like to be free from the limitations of the body? Just think. We still maintain our identity, who we are at our core, but with a much broader perception. We don't lose our memories or what makes us unique. However, we gain a new perspective on our earthly experiences. Did you know that when a spirit arrives in the spiritual realm, it undergoes a sort of life review? It's as if the spirit can look back and reflect on all its choices, actions, and the things it did right or wrong. It's a moment of deep reflection, where the spirit begins to understand the consequences of its actions and the impact those choices had, not only on its own life but on the lives of others. This is a valuable opportunity for growth. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to review your entire life's journey? What lessons would you want to carry with you? This review is a moment of learning, where the spirit has a chance to evolve, to see its mistakes, and to find ways to improve in a future incarnation. And even more exciting, reuniting with loved ones who passed before us is a reality. The true connections we make here continue on the other side. Isn't it wonderful to think that love doesn't end with death? And you? Have you ever thought about how you'd like to be remembered and who you'd like to meet again when you make that transition? This makes us reflect on what truly matters in life. Let's think about that together, shall we? Now, think about this. Do all spirits awaken immediately upon arriving in the spiritual realm? The answer is no. Spiritual awakening can be a gradual process. Many of us, when we pass on, take some time to realize we're no longer in the physical world. This can happen because our attachment to the material world is still very strong, or simply because the spirit wasn't prepared for this new reality. Imagine it like being in a fog, and slowly that fog starts to lift, allowing our vision to become clearer. This is the process of awakening. For some spirits, especially those who are more spiritually evolved, this adaptation happens quickly. They're able to perceive their new condition with calmness. But for others, it might take longer. Spirits who are still very attached to the material world, or who didn't have adequate spiritual preparation, may feel confused, scared, or even cling to the things they left behind. Can you picture that? A spirit who, for some reason, is still deeply tied to their possessions or material achievements might struggle to accept that they're no longer in the physical plane. That's why detachment is so important. The more we can let go of material things while we're alive, the easier our transition will be. This is one of the greatest lessons of Spiritism, the importance of cultivating a balanced spiritual life. What are we doing right here, right now, to prepare our soul for this journey? The knowledge we gain in life helps us face passing on with more peace and understanding. And here's a little tip. How about starting to reflect on the attachments we hold today and think about ways we can slowly let go of them, so our spiritual journey can be lighter? Now, let's talk about something that directly impacts our process of passing from this world: letting go of material attachments. This is something we often overlook while we're here, living in the physical world. Our society puts so much emphasis on accumulating wealth, financial success, and material achievements that it's easy to forget none of this will go with us when it's time to leave. So, let me ask you, have you ever stopped to think about what truly matters? Spiritism teaches us that being overly attached to material things can greatly complicate the process of passing on. When we're excessively tied to wealth, status, or physical possessions, we create bonds that keep us anchored to this plane, making the transition to the spiritual realm more difficult and painful. That's why letting go is so important. The more we can release our grip on material things, the smoother and lighter our journey to the other side becomes. So, let me ask you this: what's most valuable to you? Is it the material possessions you've gathered throughout your life? Or is it the connections you've built with the people around you? Think about it. What we truly take with us after passing are our experiences, the bonds of love and affection we've created, and the lessons we've learned. Everything material stays behind. What really matters are our actions, our choices, and the love we spread during our journey here on Earth. So why not start practicing detachment right now? This doesn't mean abandoning everything or living without comfort, but rather understanding that nothing we own is permanent. Cultivating this awareness of detachment can ease our transition to the spiritual realm and allow us to evolve in a more harmonious way. And how about you? How have you been dealing with material attachments in your life? Let's reflect on this together and think about how we can start letting go today. One of the greatest comforts Spiritism offers is the knowledge that we are never truly alone, not even in the moment of passing. This is such a beautiful concept to reflect on because we often think of death as a solitary process. But the truth is that we are embraced, received, and guided during this time of transition. When we pass from this life, we are supported by spirit companions, friends who have been with us for a long time. These spiritual guides are always by our side, even if we don't perceive them while we're here. They help us in a calm and loving way, offering peace and serenity throughout the passage. And you know what's even more comforting? Often, these spirits are family members or friends who have passed before us. They're there, ready to welcome us with love and guide us to the next stage of our journey. Have you ever stopped to imagine what that reunion might be like? Knowing that, at the most delicate moment of our lives, we will be received by those who love us brings immense peace to the heart. This knowledge gives us the strength to continue our journey here on Earth, knowing that we are being looked after, that we are not alone. Here's an important reflection. This spiritual help doesn't just happen at the moment of passing. Throughout our lives, we have the presence of spiritual guides who assist us in times of difficulty. They are by our side, ready to guide and inspire us, as long as we are open to receiving their help. How about you? Have you noticed the presence of these spiritual companions in your life? Have you ever felt that, at certain moments, you received a nudge, an inspiration that helped you move forward? If we can cultivate this connection with our spiritual guides now, our journey will be much smoother. Let's think about this together and open our hearts to the divine help that is always available to us. Now, let's dive into a very intriguing phase of the spiritual journey, reincarnation. Yes, after spending some time in the spiritual realm, the moment comes for us to reincarnate. And you might be wondering, how does that happen? Reincarnation isn't a punishment. Quite the opposite. It's an opportunity for growth, a new chance to correct past mistakes and continue our spiritual evolution. Spiritism teaches us that every spirit, with the help of their spiritual mentors, plans their next incarnation. This is not a random process. Every detail is carefully considered so that we can learn the lessons we still need. Have you ever stopped to think that before you were born, you already knew the challenges you would face? The obstacles, joys, and even the trials that arise in our lives are part of a larger plan, designed to help us grow and evolve. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt that certain moments in your life seem incredibly tough, but at the same time bring valuable lessons? This might be a reflection of that spiritual planning. We know from the outset that life on Earth won't be easy, but all the challenges are opportunities to become better people, more conscious, more loving. It's comforting to know that by overcoming these difficulties, we are moving closer to our evolution. Reincarnation is a divine gift, a new opportunity to do things differently, to make better choices. So, the next time life presents you with a challenge, remember that it's part of your growth process. And more than that, you have the strength and ability to overcome it. Let's reflect together. How have you been facing the challenges in your life? Is there something you could change about how you handle these trials? Sometimes all we need is to shift our perspective to see things differently and, in doing so, evolve even more. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a reflection that may be one of the most comforting teachings Spiritism offers. Life goes on. Passing from this life is not the end. In fact, it's just the beginning of a new stage, a new phase of learning, love, and evolution. When we prepare ourselves spiritually, we ensure that this transition is smoother and that our spiritual future will be brighter. I know it can be challenging to think about death, especially in a society that teaches us to fear it. But Spiritism constantly reminds us that there's nothing to fear. Life in the spiritual realm is simply a continuation of the journey we've begun here on Earth. And more importantly, it's an infinite journey. We are always in the process of evolving, always learning and growing. So, let me ask you, what have you been doing to prepare for this transition? Our evolution depends on the choices we make every day. It depends on the love we spread, the kindness we practice, and how we connect with what truly matters. So why not start reflecting right now on our attitudes and choices? What can we do to ensure that when our time comes, we are at peace with who we are and what we've done? This journey of spiritual growth is continuous. It doesn't matter where we are today. There's always room to improve, to evolve, to love more. Spiritism gives us the comfort of knowing that everything we do here echoes in the spiritual realm. So yes, life goes on. And you, what are you doing to ensure that your journey is filled with light and evolution? If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with your friends. And of course, leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on passing from this life? How are you preparing for this transition? Let's continue the conversation in the comments.